You know that actress or actor who's been on every red carpet looking flawless year after year? They've probably had work done, but you just can't tell.
It is a common misconception that you can tell when someone has had something done. The truth is, you can get Botox to treat your lines and wrinkles and still have expression and movement, and you can get filler and look 100% natural. No frozen faces, no overstuffed cheeks or lips, just you refreshed. So if you're someone who wants to look 100% natural, especially if you're in the entertainment industry, let's say you're an actress or model, this means you can still go out on castings and work without having to worry about being frozen. I'm dropping 5 insider secrets to keeping your injectables undetectable.
And I'm bringing in Roman Young, creative director of Nomad Management, a global agency representing fashion models, influencers, and talent in film and entertainment with offices in New York, LA, Miami, and overseas.
One of the biggest mistakes I think people make with getting Botox is not knowing that they don't have to be completely frozen. So how do you get Botox and not be frozen and still have expression? The key is to not treat to full correction where you're fully paralyzing or weakening your muscles. In this case, we'll use a much lighter dose of Botox so you still have movement. This is what I commonly do for my patients in the industry who are actors and need to have movement. We lessen their expressions so it can help soften their lines, but still leave them with movement so they'll still have expression. That way, no one will know you had Botox done. Some providers cookie cut their Botox and give everyone they treat a very similar dose, or they'll tell you that you need to get a full dose in order for it to work. What I commonly do, for instance, in this scenario, when someone's an actor or if someone wants to retain a lot of expression, is I cut the dosage to around half. For example, if someone is getting their forehead done, and on average, the typical dose for a woman's forehead to treat her horizontal lines is around 10 to 12 units, maybe I'll only do 6 to 8 units. Or if she wanted to treat her 11s, the typical dose is around 20 units, but that will usually fully paralyze the muscle. But some people don't want to be completely frozen and they still want to be able to frown. Sometimes I have moms say, I need my children to know that I'm still angry with them. So instead of doing the most common dose of 20 units, I'll treat them with around half the amount. That way they still have movement and they can still frown, but just not as strongly. And this really helps soften someone's harsh expressions. And when they do show expression, it gives their face a more gentle appearance.
Here's a model and an actress I treated to her forehead for her horizontal lines and her glabella for her 11s. I customized her dose and you can see she still has expression. It's just toned down so she can still work and go on castings and do jobs without her Botox completely knocking out her expression.
When you do this and you're not using the more standard dose, you have to understand that you will have to get Botox done more frequently because you are not treating to full correction. So instead of being treated around every 4 to 5 months, maybe you'll need to come back every 3 months. And you have to start early enough because doing a smaller dosage isn't going to do much if your wrinkles are already moderately deep to very deep. Another insider tip I do is, let's say someone really is bothered by a specific area of facial expression or specific wrinkles on their forehead and they really dislike how they look when they make that expression. What I'll do is I'll treat that area to almost full correction but leave the opposing area untreated. And this really applies to the forehead area. So we have 2 areas that show expression on our foreheads. One muscle raises our brows and that muscle is called the frontalis. It's responsible for giving us horizontal wrinkles on our forehead, and the other muscle pulls the brows down and in, and that area is called the glabella, and it's responsible for giving us 11s or frown lines. It's the muscle that makes us look angry or like we're concentrating. If I have a patient who is really bothered by her frown lines, but she's not really bothered by her horizontal lines on her forehead, I'll treat her glabella area, the area of her frown lines, to almost full correction, but leave the other area, the muscles that raise her brows, completely untreated. Someone may think, oh, she's doing Botox because she can't frown much. But then when they see that you can move your forehead completely and raise your brows, they'll be likely to think, oh, she's not getting Botox. Because people typically think if you get Botox, you're gonna treat both areas or all 3 areas and not just one area, and vice versa. We can treat the forehead muscles to full correction, but leave your frowning muscles alone. That's what I actually do. I like to treat my forehead muscles because I don't like being able to raise my brows very high. I feel like I look like a deer in the headlights. But frowning has never really bothered me. I like to be able to frown and have some movement here, especially since I treat my forehead to full correction. It gives a much more natural look to leave one area untreated, especially since I treat 2 areas. I treat my forehead and my crow's feet. So the bottom line is, whenever I have a client who's an actor and they have to have movement, I err on the very conservative side. And then I'll bring them back in 2 weeks when the Botox is at its full effects. And if we need to add more, then we'll add more. The key is knowing that you can always add more units of Botox or other neuromodulators like Dysport or Daxxify. These neuromodulators are measured in units. But if you put too much, you can't take it back. There's no reversal. You'll have to just wait until your muscle function comes back in a few weeks or a few months. Also, let's clear up a common mix-up. Botox is not what gives people this type of overdone puffy look. I hear a lot of people say, oh, she must have gotten too much Botox. Botox relaxes muscles. So at high doses, it can make someone look expressionless or what's known as frozen, but it won't change the natural shape or contours of your face. And that brings us to tip number 3. When you do see the signs of aging happening and you're going for that natural look, do not solely rely on filler for anti-aging.
When too much filler is used or gets accumulated in your skin tissue from multiple treatments, it can push beyond your face's natural volume, which can distort your features.
A huge advantage with filler is that it provides instant results and it does a great job at adding volume to the face. But if you want to look natural, you should aim to use biostimulators like Sculptra or Renuva because they stimulate your skin to produce what has been lost, and that looks a lot more natural than if you were to replace the lost volume with filler. So it's what I like to rely on to restore lost volume when it comes to aging. Now, I do like using filler for some age-related changes, especially around the lower face, but the majority of the age-related changes, I prefer to use biostimulators because they actually improve the skin's quality, and that's something filler cannot do.
This patient was treated with 3 vials of Sculptra, and you can see it helped his loss of elasticity right here. These fine lines on the side have improved, and it improved the overall skin quality. It's more plump and it's more 3-dimensional because of where we treated, and where and how much to add are key to getting good results. Comment below if you can see the improvement in his skin quality.
If he keeps up with this, he'll never look unnatural because that's his own collagen and elastin that was stimulated. But let's say you do want to get filler. When it comes to getting filler, especially lip filler, you have to be aware of how much volume is being injected.
I had a model who came into the office and her lips looked much bigger than they were before. Particularly her lower lip, it looked like it had been overfilled. And we had to tell her she thought she looked great. And we had to be like, hey, you know, it looks a little bit unnatural. And we took some digitals to show her side by side of what she looks like now versus what she looked like before, and how that would affect the images in her portfolio, how people, you know, what they're expecting when they book her. And yeah, she was a little bit shocked, but agreed. She's like, oh my gosh, you're right, I didn't see it. So we did have to have her go back and get it dissolved, you know, and tell her, hey, you know, I know the intentions were good. I know you wanted to fix something, but we had to sort of point that out to her to make sure professionally she was covered.
Filler is great for enhancing features like enlarging the lips. You can use it in the nose for a liquid rhinoplasty. You can project the chin more forward and get a more sculpted jawline, but everyone's anatomy has boundaries. And there's a limit to how much filler you can put inside of them. The chin and jawline can take a lot of filler before it starts to look unnatural, but the lips have a very small threshold in comparison because our lips are distinct features. They're tubular structures bound by distinct borders, and those borders are known as the vermilion borders. They're distinct lines that separate the colored part of your lips from the surrounding facial skin. These borders mark the edge of our upper and lower lips, and there's a limit to how much filler you can put inside of your lips if you want your lips to remain looking natural. So you can't push past the boundaries of your anatomy. So this means that not everyone is going to be able to achieve the lip size that they desire. And if you want to go into more detail about lip filler, there are a few other tips that you need to know. So be sure to watch this video. It literally goes through everything you need to know when it comes to getting lip filler. I've come across a lot of women chasing that medium to large lip size on this lip fullness thickness scale. But if you've got naturally thin lips and less flexible lip tissue, which often go hand in hand, there's an even smaller limit of how much volume you can add before things start looking unnatural, which we spoke about in this video, which discusses the lip tissue types. So the moral of the story is that you may not be able to achieve the lip size that you desire. And that's exactly why you see so many women with lips that look overfilled and unnatural. They're trying to force a look their features just can't support. Sometimes people don't even realize it's gone too far. Like Roman mentioned, he's had to point out to as models that their lips weren't just enhanced, they were distracting. But a good injector should know the boundaries of your anatomy before you ever get to that point. And that brings us to tip number 5. Find a provider that you trust. This is where so many people, including in the entertainment industry, go wrong.
What I've noticed is that there's a new problem, which is it's almost too accessible now to get injectables. And I think that many times, like I said previously, they don't spend the time doing their research, delineating between good and average or bad work. And I think that because it's so accessible, once again, when they're impulsive, they can just run out to whatever they see and very quickly and take a special discounted deal to get it done. And it doesn't mean that they're gonna get what they want.
But the real question is, how do you find someone that you can trust with your face?
Taking the time to do your research, learn about who's injecting you, you know, learn about the products that are being offered, learn about the services that are being offered, and study a little bit about what you want done. These are big things, and especially in a professional context where it's going to affect your work. So again, I think it's a new problem of it being almost too accessible, and you don't know what you're going to get if you don't do your research.
It is very accessible. It's like on every corner
Yeah.
of LA, there's a med spa.
There's always
every
some kind
corner.
of discount. I think there's so many Instagram ads and
Yes.
TikTok things and, you know, social media, billboards, and, you know, it's a lot. You have to choose carefully.
Yeah, choose carefully and look at their before and after photos of patients that they've treated. Ask about their approach to natural looking results. Beware of the too good to be true pricing. And when it comes to getting Botox, remember that you want to find a provider that will customize your Botox, but you should also tell them that you're an actress or an actor before they treat you. That way they know and are aware that you're looking to retain expression. But don't forget to watch these videos next to learn more about how you can maximize your attraction.